Just having a look at a chart here on Triangle Energy, TEG, okay? Someone's asked me for it. Now, there's some interesting things happening here. The main thing is the fib set overall, okay? And what I'm just going to show you here, I've drawn a fib set here from the low, which was 003, up to this high here, which had it at 8 cents, and that was about February 2011, January 2011. Okay, so I'm using basically that time frame on the chart. But what I've also done is I've drawn in a overall fib on this chart from where I can find its highest high to its lowest low. Okay, and interesting enough, the last fib on that overall comes right here on this closing high, okay, where that close was at 7.8, is it? Yeah, close 7.8. Okay. Okay, so that old fib set was still in play here because it came right up and hit that old last fib and then has dropped all the way off. Okay, and what we can see in here too is a classic Head and Shoulders. Okay, that's a classic Head and Shoulders chart. And what I'll show you there's the head, neckline will be in there somewhere. So you could basically expect a breakdown in it. Breakdown, it's not going to go to that extreme, but yeah. Anyway, let's just show you these fibs. Now, if we go back and we have a look at that overall fib, okay, all time, there's the high, there's the low, okay, we notice that the fib projections don't line up here, okay, and there and there. So what I'm going to suggest is what we do with our fib set here that we've set to that high of 08 is let's just bring it down to the closing high as someone would do if they're using a line chart, and let's just have a look and see what changes. Now you'll see our recent high was just within a bee's dick of the 61.8%, okay, which will also basically give us another fib set to run from the low here to the high here and see where our fibs fall there. But what if you go back now to the overall full fib set, we notice the fibs all line up from the projections, okay, back up. Everything lines up perfectly. So it is a lot neater looking chart, okay? And if we drew a fib in here, this is just to get an idea of where it's at the moment. And basically it's just a bee's dick off of that one there, isn't it? Anyway, 61.8 is down here. That's also pretty close to your 200-day moving average, okay? Now, on this here as well, we mentioned Head and Shoulders, okay? What I'm just going to show you here is this could have been in this system here, could have been another bigger shoulder. They do tend to have more than one shoulder, and if that's the case, I'd just be a little bit careful of this stock. It's run back up to that 61.8. It then has its last fib here, which it hasn't held, okay, at what's that level? That level there is 2.1 to 2.1.5. It hasn't held that again, so that sort of tells me that's a little bit weak, and I'm just wondering if this is another right shoulder and this wants to retest the low. Okay, it's certainly looking like that to me a little bit. It will have to find support there at that 61.8. which here is 1.409. So say 1.5 is what you'd be thinking. But at the moment, this 30-day moving average to me is looking very suspect, as it did up here, as it did up here. Okay, so I'm going ho-hum on this. And I'm also looking at some indicators to see what is happening. My DEMA is still telling me the trend is down, and the DEMA has not put any fresh short entry buy signals. Okay, so I've got a funny feeling it's going to come back and test this level that it's tested before. It really would want to get its skates on here, you know, like the Scholastic here is turned up slightly. I'll just make that a little bit bigger for you, and add a little nudge down again. Okay, so whether it wants to come back in here and retest, the volumes have picked up in the last couple of days is something else I've noticed. Okay, so yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, it's not a screaming buy to me here at the moment. Our little zero lag MACD has tried to turn up here at the moment, but hasn't really given me anything to get carried away with at the moment. But the main indicator I'm using here is that black DEMA there, and you know, that's an obvious, it's still heading south. Okay, we haven't had the little blue and red put in a short entry buy signal at the moment. So whether it comes back and retests this 200-day moving average in purple here, or the 61.8, but by the look of these MAs here, this could even come back a little bit further. And if we put on this fib setup here, we put our last fib in here, is back to 1 cent. Okay, the 61.8 should be a good solid bounce area if it's going to bounce. But if these MAs keep on turning over, it will obviously test the 1, and if that doesn't hold, well, it's going to retest the bottom. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it, and it'd be interesting actually if we set these fibs here to the other fib line. It's a little bit of a naughty, but then we're going to have a really neat fib set all over, and then our figures are going to be out a little bit, but then that's showing 61.8 just down there, 1.4 and a half. So say 1.4 for the hell of it, and still at 1. So because that's only a B stick out, it's not really making a big difference. But what it does, all of a sudden, our 161s again line back up, which is a 1 set 1 target if this thing decides to do a chuff off. Would be a target to look at, is also lining up with these other fibs up here as well. Okay, and they'll all come back into play as well, because this is the 12-month chart. But yeah, I'd strongly suggest that closing high there is the place to draw the fibs from, in my opinion. It's just makes a lot neater chart, and it's not altering the figures by a massive amount. You know, it's 0.001 of nothing, you know. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it anyway. So there you go, Strauss. Just see if you can have a play around with those.